Welcome to the 5,525th meeting of the Rotary Club of Chicago. Rotary 1 is now in session.
Yeah.
So, I want to start by thanking all of you who attended last week's installation and farewell to Marshall. After the meeting, I had a chance to scroll through all of the kind comments and congratulations to Marshall and myself and to Holger. There was surprisingly high frequency of comments on my fashion sense. So apparently that was the highlight of the night. Thank you very much for that. Marshall began the installation with the theme of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, the values that Mr. Rogers embodied, what being neighbors really means, and how that relates to Rotary. To continue that theme a bit, in the words of the land of make-believes, Henrietta Pussycat, meow, 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 meow. Now, for those of you not from the US, that's a children's show, so I haven't been isolating myself too much here. There really is some reason for that. But to get back to seriousness here, and saying farewell to Marshall, have we really said farewell to Marshall? Not really, because I'm already bringing him back for our first meeting of the Rotary year to do the thought of the day. So ladies and gentlemen, immediate past president, Marshall Schmidt.
Well, thank you, Eric. I'm like a bad penny. You can never get rid of me. Lucy Maud Montgomery was a late 18th century, early 19th century author. Her most famous book was Anne of Green Gables. And many of you know the story. It's a story of an orphaned girl who overcomes many challenges in life. And the book, one of the main themes of the book is friendship. She learns what true friendship is when late in the book, a man who taunted her as a young child makes a large sacrifice so that she can take care of her adopted mother. L.M. Montgomery knew friendship. She once wrote that true friends are always together in spirit. The Rotary Club of Chicago and the Rotary Club of West Tokyo are two friends. Neither a pandemic nor many, many miles can keep us apart in spirit. And we are true friends, and my hat's off to our true friends. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much, Marshall. I think that's a great way to reflect the sentiment that I think we all have between our two clubs and our two nations and our two cities. And with that, I will move into talking a little bit about that relationship. But first, before I do introduce President Miki, I do just want to say our hearts are with you and the citizens of the beautiful island of Kyushu, who I understand are dealing with some massive flooding there right now, including loss of life. It certainly seems that 2020 is relentless. It's certainly a year that helps us reaffirm who we are as Rotarians and what we're here to do. And I think Tokyo West President Miki Yajima certainly embodies who we are as Rotarians. He has long had a foot in both the US and Japan, which makes him the perfect person to be representing Tokyo West today in this joint program of friendship between our two clubs and our two countries. Miki spent a lot of time in Hawaii, went to college there, and was a Rotarian there. Currently, he is president of Yajima Oil, operating 11 gas stations in Tokyo. He has been a member of his club for 30 years, which is amazing, and has acted in many roles in his club and his district, serving Tokyo and the world. In addition to introducing the speaker today, President Miki will also tell us a little bit about one of his members that has just been elected to a very important position within Rotary. So, President Miki, どうぞお願いします。
of 2020 to 2021. Should I talk about the Mr. Katsuhiko Tatsuno, who was district governor at that same time with Rob Knuffer from your club. He is a director of the Rotary International Board of Trustee for 2020 to 2022. Yes. So he has a lot of work to do in Japan, and we are actually celebrating our centennial Rotary history in Japan this year, and he's of course in charge. He wanted to join us this evening with you, but he has a lot of meeting with RI, as you can see. So he couldn't make it, but he told me to send the best regards to all the members to the Rotary One. Is it good? Okay. And President Eric, you will introduce the speaker of today, right?
Actually, President Miki, I think the honor is yours. If you wouldn't mind, could you introduce Miguel?
Oh, okay. Before that, I just read the article about our history between you and us. This goes back way back to 1978, when we had a Rotary International Convention in Tokyo, Japan. According to the book, 110 members and the families came to Japan from Chicago, Rotary One, because 2 years later, which is 1980, Chicago is going to host the international convention as well. So you guys came to see and observe what, things like that. So convention was in Tokyo, so we hosted you and your the families at homes and the restaurants, and we had a great fun. We had a good fun, and of course 2 years later, which is 1980, over 50 members and families visited Chicago, and you people hosted us a delicious dinner and had a great fun as well. At key persons were the late Mr. Bob Hudson, and the late Mr. Mac Harashima. Some of you can recognize the names, but they are the key persons to put us together. And 1982, we became a sister club or twin clubs, as you can say. And after that, our friendship is really growing. For myself, I visited you people in 1995, when you celebrating the 90th anniversary in Chicago, Rotary One. And I, of course, visited the centennial anniversary as well. I'm glad to see our friendships growing very well. And this is the first experience for us to share the meeting together, especially the first meeting of the year. Thank you for Mr. President Eric. Thank you. And that's all I wanted to say. And I should introduce the speaker of today. Mr. Miguel Masaru Kitamura, by name. He is one of the active members of us, of course, and he was graduated from the University of Tokyo, and he studied at the Harvard Law School, Harvard University, and he used to work for Japanese government as a diplomat. He was in charge of America and Japan, and now he's a lawyer. Very nice man, and he's a really adequate person to talk about the today's topic. So Rotarians from the Rotary One, please welcome Miguel Masaru Kitamura.
Thank you. Am I on?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yes. Well, hello everyone, and Eric, good to meet you again. And I think Marshall, we met. We had dinner together at the Consul General's office residence a few years back. 2 years ago.
Remember well our discussion about the pharmaceutical industry in Japan. It was a wonderful
That's right.
discussion.
You know well. Yeah, like you, I am a lawyer, and but as President Yajima kindly introduced me to, I worked in the government for over 10 years while I was young. So I still, at my depths of my heart, I'm somewhat a bureaucratic mind, and maybe lack of flexibility too. But after that, I began private practice in 1992, entirely on my own. Basically, during the initial days of my private practice, all I did was just sit before my phone and wait for the calls. And nothing happened initially, of course. Later on, the people began to recognize me and my services, with my focus has always been pharmaceuticals, what now we call life sciences matters. And I'm still, my focus is on, but also digital issues, privacy issues, and other government relations projects as well. So even though my firm is still small, nonetheless, I have been operating this as a boutique firm with some insight into the government policy and the government regulations in Japan, which I believe is beats anyone in the Japanese legal community here. Now, today's topic is somewhat broad for my expertise, but nonetheless, let me give a crack on that difficult subject of Japan after COVID-19. I prepared a slide for you, so let me try to operate this, upload this onto the for you. Just a second. I guess you can see it now. So the topic is about Japan after COVID-19. The obviously first question you would ask is it already over? Well, unfortunately not. Let's move on to the next slide, which explains a little bit about the latest status of COVID-19 in Japan. I better go to slideshow, just a second. Okay, so quite unfortunately, our society has been suffering less than other developed countries like the US or some of the European countries. Of course, less than Russia or Brazil or any other country. With back at as of the end of June, when I prepared these slides, the number of infection cases in Japan was less than 20,000. Yesterday, it just reached 20,000, so it's still a low number. And total deaths are still around 1,000 as of today. So even though this is a tragic phenomenon, nonetheless, our society has been very fortunate so far to survive this epidemic, rather, I would say, better than expected. And so as of the end of June, the daily life was coming back to normal. The government is talking about opening up borders once again, or to a select number of countries, in particular Europe and possibly China as well. And we are pretty much hopeful that vaccines will be available towards the end of this year. I believe there are quite a few companies already developing. Pfizer, Moderna, or AstraZeneca, and even those products will come along. We should begin to truly go back to the normal, quote unquote, normal life as it was before, prior to COVID-19. In the meantime, Japanese economy, as you might have seen in the newspaper, is in really mixed stage. This chart shows stock prices in Tokyo, Nikkei 255, 225. As you can see, it dropped significantly, just like NYSE, but now recovered a good deal of what's lost immediately upon the onset of COVID-19. So the stock prices is really encouraging. But on the other hand, just like in the United States, our industry production is stagnating, even worse than the case in the US. This area, beige figures indicate it's negative. It already starts, the stagnation already started last year when the government increased the indirect tax by the name of a consumption tax, we call it, and the production really went down as much as minus 15% in April. I don't have the latest figures, but it seems it's obvious that the real economy has not picked up very well. This immediate economic challenge, of course, is taking place right in the middle of our more structural challenge, which is our society, which is quickly aging. When I was a small kid, we were taught about the population pyramid, as we already were. I don't think these days the kids can understand why this looks like a pyramid at all. This more looks like Chinese or Japanese lantern population. As you can see, the youth generation has not really having kids, and we have been working very hard to encourage them to have more kids by giving them subsidies and so forth. But so far, the policy is not terribly successful. And quite unfortunately, our population is decreasing by over half a million every year. Really amazing. Perhaps some turnaround may come at some later day, but nonetheless, we don't really have a solution to this population issue, which is quite fundamental structure, in my opinion, yet. On the other hand, we'll have a highly stable political structure here. This shows the number of government parties in lower house of Japan, which is more important than the upper house. Now the ruling coalition controls over 2/3 of the seats. And so they can control the agenda, they can control the legislative proposals. So our society is very, very stable politically. Just a few days ago, we re-elected the same governor of Tokyo, Koike, to the governor once again. So we really, at this time of this difficult time, value political stability as usual. So it's a kind of mixed economy and mixed society, which is facing challenge, but also trying to be very, very stable. Talking about challenges, not just short-term, immediate up and down on the market prices. One really has to look at the economic structure of our society, which is, I think, as you already know, most modern economies are based upon services, as also it is also so in Japan. The weight of the primary industry was already low in the 1960s and 70s, but this is even less so than before. And the weight of the manufacturing industry is declining as well. In particular, employment has been mostly in the service sector, as lower chart shows. So the service obviously is a source of energy and a source of growth for a country and perhaps for the world as well. And indeed, the government, this shows the government focus of what the new Japanese economy should look like. Let me try to enlarge this so you can see better. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. So this paper lays out 4 or 5 major topics which the government wants to focus on. One is mobility, service. The second one is supply chains. This, of course, has something to do with the manufacturing, but nonetheless, it does have a service angle because the supply chain management will be based upon the networks, of course, and the variety of softwares as well. And upside. And third area the government believes important is okay, let me go back to the slideshow. And the third area the government is focusing on the life sciences or medical care, which of course is fundamental service industry. And the final section, the first column, is probably difficult to read, but it's what they call lifestyle. Foods, Japanese foods, Japanese entertainment, and all other cultural affairs, which are fundamentally a service industry as well. So the government is certainly understand that we need to develop these features in our Japanese economy for the future growth, for the years to come. Well, quite unfortunately, COVID-19 hits the service industry most hard in Japan, really, really hard. We wanted to invite 40 million foreign tourists into Japan, which is the service industry, and expecting that to take place Olympic Games this year. Of course, the games were postponed, and quite surprisingly, the number of foreign tourists into Japan that is shown in the left-hand side of this table declined 99.9% in April. A year ago, the foreign tourists in Japan is over 2 million in 1 month. Now it's only 2,900. Until the COVID-19 issue is at reasonably controlled or resolved, it will be difficult to expect the growth of the tourism industry, which accounts for over 400 billion US dollars in the Japanese economy. So the effect is certainly not upon the tourism industry. In fact, the COVID-19 has negatively impacted retail sales, tourism, restaurants, and foods, and all of them have been hardly hit. Even the medical services, the doctors I met, every single one of them complains that they have been seeing far less number of patients every day because we are somewhat afraid to visit the hospitals to avoid infection. And on this immediate impact on the service economy is also taking place together with the structural issues, difficulties. On top of difficulties such as government debts and, as I described, the aging population and obviously labor productivity. And these difficulties, challenges are taking shape all at the same time. Well, so let's talk about where the bright light could be. Let me just take a few years backwards and see at the market valuation of the Japanese stock prices. This shows that only 5 years ago, 2015, top ranked is Toyota Motor Company and Mitsubishi and TNT, phone company, and SoftBank, which is also a communication service giant. And perhaps you may be familiar with every single one of them. It was a case in 2015. But if you look at chart this year, This is the market valuation of the end of May this year. Toyota still holds a number of positions, but if you focus on the second company, which is known as Keyence Corporation, I don't think many of you have heard of the company, but it is specialized in electronic devices and most in IoT, Internet of Goods, products and services. Yet also ranking among the top ranked firms are Chugai Pharmaceuticals and the Daiichi Sankyo Pharmaceuticals number 8. And following that is Takeda. In the Takeda Pharmaceuticals is also these are all pharma companies. And it seems to me quite a contrast from the just immediate past of 2015. So things are changing quite a lot. So what I can say from the picture you just saw is that market expectation in the Japanese stock market is very high on the life sciences. And also it highs on traditional newcomer, non-traditional newcomer, that the company I refer to, Keyence, shows some good signs for the future of the Japanese economy. But nonetheless, overall the picture is a mixed bag. There are quite a few traditional companies, and also it's be important to note that most of the companies are in the regulated industry, pharma, drugs, telecommunications, and banking. You don't really see fast-growing newcomers. Well, perhaps which are very popular in NASDAQ in the U.S., such as Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, what have you. Those giants, we don't have them. Now, but there was great news we had a few days ago. We have these questions of how would the social distancing work, how that would change our lifestyle, and all those issues are still to be resolved. We don't know what next Japanese economy or society will look like. I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. One good news is that, however, is our Japanese machine was ranked #1 out of supercomputers. It is Fujitsu's product known as Fugaku, and was given the prize of #1 figure. And also, there's another machine was given the #1 status green ranking, which was the best energy efficient machine was also given to a Japanese product too. So it looks like we all of a sudden came back on top of everybody, including China. This is the #1 Fugaku is around top 500. This is the second one is Summit, which is IBM machine. The third one is here. It is also, I think, it's an IBM machine. And #4 is Sunway Starlight, which is a Chinese machine. So we are now all of a sudden go back to the top of the world. But certainly one machine doesn't really resolve anything, quite unfortunately. More fundamentally, these developments are certainly welcome and wonderful, but the manufacturing of the supercomputers may not resolve the employment issues or aging issues or any other structural issues we're facing. Instead, what we Japanese really have to think about is how to best capitalize on these technological developments and how to coalesce our new economy into the new technological developments and the service industries. We have been very strong in organized labor manufacturing, but we lost a competitive edge pretty badly since perhaps around the turn of the century, and we are still groping for a way out of the current difficulty. Take a case of Nissan, for example. Nissan was very famous for very loyal employees and very efficient in manufacturing. And they even had foreign presidents, but it's now facing a serious threat of bankruptcy. This symbolizes or epitomizes difficulties facing the Japanese manufacturing industry, in my opinion. So this starting moving forward, this is a concluding part of my presentation, is that we have an opportunity. The Japanese society has an opportunity, and that must be based upon the networks, services, and technological advances. Perhaps we will now no longer be able to commute or spend a number of hours for just commuting to the same company inside Tokyo. Instead, we can live in the home and we can work together individually. And so the decentralized and/or individual initiatives will be the key, not just geographically, socially, but also in the business terms, could be very important key for the development of the Japanese economy. And thanks to the United States initiatives, and Chinese initiatives as well, we have tools like this one, Zoom, Skype, Line, and everything else. Why not utilize all of them and begin networking and working immediately? And once again, thanks to the United States and China also, we have Amazon Web Services, Google API, Microsoft, and Alibaba, all those giants, which we can access and make use of every day if we really want. We, as a highly educated population, we have great potential for utilizing these services and technological advancements and connect individually and in a more decentralized format to develop new businesses, new friendships, and a newer economy. So there are a good deal of opportunities, I believe, for everyone to use, for every single Japanese to use. And key to that everything is the friendship and the internationalization. And this is wonderful. Indeed, that we are communicating like this with Chicago on a real-time basis from Tokyo. Yajima-san just talked about, I think I'm taking too much time, am I? Or just 1 minute?
1 minute.
1 minute. Just trying to conclude my my long presentation. Yajima-san talked about the year 1978. I'm an old man. It was exactly the year I visited Chicago for the first time in my life. Actually, it was the first big city I visited in the United States by 1978. And 2 years ago, I visited Chicago and really liked the city again. So let's keep on our friendship and let's keep on our cooperation, good work together again. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Miguel. That was a very informative presentation. You'll be happy to know I also visited Chicago for the first time in 1978 because that's when I was born.
Wow.
We have a couple of questions. Just a few minutes for questions. If you do have questions, please put them in the chat box, and we've got a couple that have come through. Immediate past President Marshall Schmidt asks, what about Japan has enabled it to deal so effectively with COVID? I'm sure internally it seems like things are not going well, but externally from the US or from Europe, it looks like Japan has handled everything very well, particularly because Japan and Tokyo are very dense, have a high population. As you pointed out, the age is pretty old, the average age, and yet COVID-wise, you guys are doing pretty well. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, there are quite a number of factors, but the most important factor is we were, as a society, rather well behaved. Everybody wore masks, nobody complained about it. We followed the government guidance about the social distancing. And altogether, that's one famous Japanese politician called it, it's a question of level of civility, whatever. But you can call it, I would call it a people power. The fundamental understanding of the issue and the willingness to cooperate together and work together to resolve the difficulty. And certainly, I think there are certain other factors which nobody understands. You know, if you look at the part of the Pacific region, the number of cases are relatively low compared to other sections of the world. And so there had certainly a lot of luck had to do with it.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And there's sort of a similar question, but a little bit more focused kind of on the economic side from Tyler Bauer. What decisions made by the Japanese government might have resulted in a lower COVID-19 infection rate, yet larger economic production shift than other countries in 2020?
It's a big question, and I don't think we have a solution yet. And the government is keen on reopening. I mean, restarting the economy quickly, and that's why even though the current number of cases is increasing every day, unfortunately, the talk is expressing 100, but maybe possibly 200 cases, new cases. And nonetheless, the government restarted the economy, and we really have to watch and see how it goes, how it plays out. There has been certainly lots of subsidy program for stores which close the shop, and also for services. That has been really helpful for the entire economy.
Yeah,
but certainly that is
sense.
not unique to Japan.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now I have some medical questions for you. So I don't know if you can answer them with your legal background or not, but they're from Dr. Gunnar. If an older patient gets sick in Japan, what is the first medication they get? Basically, what are the hospitals in Japan giving their patients, particularly the older patients?
That depends on what kind of illnesses the patient is suffering from.
Well, we're talking about COVID.
COVID. Okay.
COVID-19, yeah.
The initially they will dispense, I believe, antiviral medications, all kinds of them, including those known to be effective for flu, and also we have one product known as product name is known as Abigan, the Japanese product, and which is some believe which is useful. Of course, they also dispense the latest Gilead product. I forgot the name, but every single medication is being experimented.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think there's some certainly similar stories in other parts of the world as we try to figure this out. Well, I'm going to wrap up the questions now, but Miguel, thank you very much for a fantastic presentation, and you're spot on with the fact that one of the silver linings of all of this is that it has initiated meetings such as this that I think just 4 months ago we would not have imagined having had a joint meeting with the Rotary Club of Tokyo West and had a presentation from you. So really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And
by the way,
also want to, yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think I forgot to introduce the Mr. Tanuma, who was a past president and visit together with me, your club 2 years ago. So say hello to Tanuma-san. Okay.
Tanuma-san,
thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much for joining. It's good to see you again. Good to see you again. So we like to present a gift to each of our speakers, and we'll be shipping this to you in Japan. And what we're going to send you is a candle that you see on the slide right now, created by an organization called Bright Endeavors. We offer every Rotary One speaker a gift of thanks that's supposed to be from our community and a community-based organization with the goal of effecting lasting change here in Chicago. So the proceeds from these candles help to empower young moms by providing transitional jobs and professional skills training. So this not only helps these young moms, but it also supports their kids and then ultimately our communities. And it's consistent with our community service focus this year on education. So thank you very much again. Miguel, let's give him a virtual round of applause here. Thank you very much. Very good. So now we're going to move on to the next part of our program today, and that's the virtual signing ceremony. And I want to just say a few words. I know President Miki already mentioned a little bit about the history between our two clubs. I just wanted to build upon that a little bit, if you don't mind. Of course, you know, the Rotary Club of Chicago was founded in 1905. The Rotary Club of Tokyo West has also been around quite a long time, since 1955, actually. And I know it. I know it because the bell that we ring every day says it right here. This bell is actually a gift from the Rotary Club of Tokyo West. So we literally think of you guys every Tuesday. As you pointed out, we established our partnership in 1982. You talked about a lot of meetings between members going to each other's clubs, but there's also the service element, which I think is even more important. The projects over the years to send girls to school in Cambodia, supporting the Rotary Centennial Park here, and then of course the new tradition that we started just last year. And it's a new tradition, but one that is literally rooted in a long-standing custom that goes back to Paul Harris, a custom of planting trees as a sign of friendship, something that he did when folks from around the world, including folks from Japan, would come and visit him here in Chicago. So we started planting trees along with commemorative plaques in every city where there's a Rotary International Convention. Last year, we planted trees in a park in Hamburg. This year, though we cannot be there, we're still getting trees planted in Honolulu, and then I'm certainly hopeful that next year we will plant some trees in Taipei. And just personally, I feel privileged to be here signing this renewal of our agreement between the two clubs, as Japan and Tokyo, for me, will always have a special place in my heart. So my first extended stay overseas was actually in Japan, when I had an internship in Ichikawa City in Chiba Prefecture when I was in college. And the hospitality and generosity shown to me by the citizens of Japan was incredible. And the expansion of my, my mind and my heart was really unlike anything that I had previously experienced. So it had a tremendous impact in who I am personally. And for many reasons, I think has led to this moment here now, with me actually being here signing this document in the capacity as the president of the Rotary Club of Chicago. In some ways I can trace that back to my experience in Japan many years ago. So the document here, which I hope you can see, basically says that the Rotary Clubs of Tokyo West and Chicago have established a long-term partnership to further international understanding and foster goodwill through long-standing fellowship and service. So I will sign the document. Bear with me for one moment while I do that. Today's date is the 7th. And so there we go. Sorry, I know the virtual screen sometimes doesn't work quite so well with that. We'll get it. All right, there we go. So now, President Miki, I'm going to pass the document over to you so that you can then sign it. So I'm passing this over to you now. All right, there you go. Could you please receive it? There you go. Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got it.
Wonderful.
You got it.
Oh,
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Technology is amazing.
Eric, you sending me something else? Oh, I got it. Oh, I got the pen as well. Thank you.
Oh, you got the pen? Very, very good. Very good. You got the pen. Yes. Very good.
Okay, let me sign the thing. Okay, here we go. Signing date July 8th. Thank you, President Eric.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President Miki.
Thank you.
That worked surprisingly well.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Miguel was right about those amazing technology platforms that have made life really great. Well, very good. So we're going to move on now to the next part of the program. Okay. And so the next part of the program is something that we are calling the Service Spotlight. And let me just preface this a little bit here, because this is a new part of our program that we'll try to have in a lot of our programs. We might not get to it every Tuesday, but we'll try to get to it most. And it's something that comes directly out of the strategic plan. So this is kind of one of the first effects, if you will, of the strategic plan, when people told us, we don't know what service projects our club is doing. People outside of our club don't know what service projects we're doing. Are we doing service projects? So we decided that it would be a really good idea to talk, to basically take the opportunity for every meeting to, first of all, show everybody the long laundry list of all the projects that we're doing for both community service and international service. And you can see these are just current or recent projects that our community service committee is doing, and also job one. And then the next slide will show international service projects. I don't think people realize how many things we have our fingers in, either financially or with volunteer work or with some element of both. And so what we're doing is not only blasting this out here, it'll be up on the website. We'll also include it every week in the gyrator. And then we're going to pick one project. And today it's a project in Cochabamba, Bolivia. We're going to pick one project to feature and to spotlight. And so I just want to give kudos to both Marga and Betsy for agreeing to be the guinea pigs for this little experiment and present to us this project in Cochabamba. So with that, I'm going to introduce Betsy Meisenheimer, who is the co-chair of the International Service Committee. Betsy?
Great, thanks, Eric. Is the volume fine on my machine?
Doing great.
Okay, cool. Okay, this is a project that's sponsored by the Rotary Club of Cochabamba down in Bolivia, of course. And it was just submitted last month to the Rotary Foundation for approval. So it's a pending project, and we've not actually funded it yet, although we've committed funds. I'm going to give some background first. The Puntiti therapeutic community now serves about 80 children. 60 of those are orphans or abandoned kids, and the other 20 are disabled children. The center is run by a group of nuns, the Congregation of Sisters Hospitalières, and the sisters recently saw a need to expand their facilities so that they could better serve the community on an outpatient basis. So to do this, they needed to build a building. And that's something that Rotary does not, at least Rotary International does not support. So the nuns, along with the Rotary Club of Cochabamba and some other partners, did a citywide telethon in Cochabamba and were able to raise the funds. And then the building has been built. And I want to say that Rotarian Santiago Joffrey of the Cochabamba Club donated his services as an architect for this project. The new center is called the Outpatient, and I have to read this, Outpatient Rehab Center Maria Josefa Reina. And it will be able to serve 60 kids under the ages of 7 once it's fully operational. To make it operational, though, it needs equipment and training for the staff. The equipment it needs include computers and equipment to be able to teach the Montessori method. And then the teachers, well, the staff and volunteers all need to be trained. And in addition, the parents need some training so that they can support the kids in the Montessori method too. The Rotary Club of Cochabamba put together the plan, and There's a projected cost on this of $58,700. Their club and their district together raised $6,000 for the project, which leaves a bit of a gap. Since we have done projects with them in the past, they came to us and said, gee, can you help us out on this? And by the way, we'd like you to be our global partner. And a global partner is required in order to qualify for matching funds from Rotary International. We agreed, our committee agreed to do that. We raised funds not only from our club, but we also were able to have District 6450 give us some designated funds for that. Then our job as the global partner was to go out and help raise funds from other Rotary clubs and districts across the world. Now I have to say that Marga did an absolutely fantastic job in this, was able to help raise the funds, and including a $10,000 donation from Rotary clubs in South Korea. South Korea. So as I mentioned before, the project is in the queue for review by Rotary International. Once it's approved, the equipment will be bought, and then the training will start for all the parties, and the project will become functional. I'm going to turn this over to Marga now. She's going to show a short video on the center and then introduce Santiago, who's joining us from Cochabamba. Marga?
Do we watch the video first and then I introduce Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, Karen, can we go ahead with the video? Thank you, Karen, very much. Well, I would like to introduce Santiago Jofre Aguar, by now a very close friend personally and a friend of our committee and our club. As Betsy said, Santiago is an architect who donated his services for the construction, design and construction of the rehab center. He is a former Rotary actor and is past president of the Rotary Club of Cochabamba, Bolivia. He's a former assistant governor and president of the district committee of the Rotary Foundation and member of the cadre of experts of the Rotary Foundation. And the good news is that he's just been named district governor nominee for the years 2022-2023, which is particularly wonderful because our international committee has embarked on a multi-year a joint number of global grants with Bolivia, which is its own district. We're going to be doing 5 global grants that involve providing medical equipment and supplies to hospitals strategically located in Bolivia that will highly enhance certain aspects of healthcare that are underserved in the country. So we foresee a very close collaboration with several clubs in Bolivia. And we're already working on the first global grant that will be probably ready to be, we're working on it already. So we'll keep you posted on our progress. But Santiago, I give you the floor. Podés saludar a nuestros amigos.
Good afternoon, dear fellow Rotarians. I appreciate the goodwill of Rotary Club Chicago for their support in this project and others we have done in the past. I wish all of you the best of success in all your activities and projects in this new Rotary year. Rotary opens opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Santiago.
Thank you so much, Santiago. It's great work that you guys are doing down in Bolivia, and we're proud to be a part of it. Thank you very much. So everybody on the call knows Santiago is going to stay on the call, on the Zoom call, and when we're all finished here, we'll keep the Zoom call open. So if you have any questions about the project, if you have any questions for Santiago, please stay on after the meeting, and then you can ask questions to Santiago. And Marga has graciously decided to stay on as well, so she can help translate any difficult questions. All right, well, very good. Thank you very much. So now I want to move to the introduction of guests, although many of our guests have already been introduced today, but let me just make sure that we haven't missed any of our international guests. Let's start with international guests first. Kawe Macedo from Sao Paulo, would you like to introduce yourself very briefly and say what you do and your club? Maybe he may have dropped off already. He was on just a little while earlier. Let's see what other international Rotarians we have. And then we already introduced Tanuma-san. Is Mori-san on from Tokyo West? Oh, you are. Hello. Why don't you just say hello? Unmute yourself and say hello to the group. I'm gonna unmute you. Oops, it won't let me unmute you. So you're gonna. Okay. If you wanna, you're okay. All right. Well. Mr. Mori is from Tokyo West as well, as a part of the gang that's joined for today. Thank you, sir, for being on. We also have a couple of other visiting Rotarians. I saw earlier Jody Robinson in the notes. Jody, if you're still on, would you like to just briefly introduce yourself, who you are, your club, and what you do?
Hi, I'm Jody Robinson. I'm a financial planner. I'm the immediate past president of the Oak Forest Rotary. And right now I'm organizing a blood drive that we're gonna have on Saturday. It's usually our hardest blood drive, but because there's people on vacations or that are not on vacations this year, we're actually almost maxed out for this blood drive, so we're really excited about that.
Cool.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. Very good. That's a good thing to have happen. And then I saw earlier Martha Herrera. Are you still on from World Nations? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Eric. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
My name is Martha, and I am the current president of Chicago World Nations. I work very closely with Pedro, who's guiding us with one of the satellite clubs here in Chicago, the Six Corners. And we are currently working on iPads, PC, laptops collection. This is to help out the grammar school students or high school students, but I believe it's mostly for small children in Ecuador, children that do not have the resources or they don't have internet at home because they, of course, they're so poor, they don't have the device to work with. So we're currently working on a project to collect as many devices as we can. We can send them out to Ecuador to help the children in need.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Martha. That's a great project, and thanks for the announcements too. So if folks have extra iPads lying around, I guess send them to Martha.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't think I missed anybody, but are there any other visitors that I may have missed? You can unmute yourself, but I think I see everybody in front of me, and I think I know who you all are. Okay. Well, let's move on then to our announcements for today, and we have quite a few actually. A lot of interesting things going on. So, despite the pandemic and sheltering in place, there's no shortage of things to do and get engaged with. So, the first announcement is another thank you to Marshall, because under Marshall's leadership, the club has earned in 2019-2020 the Rotary citation at the highest level, the Presidential Distinction Platinum. So thank you very much, Marshall, for that. In my year, I'm totally going for titanium. I'm sure we can get higher than platinum, right? So no, thank you. That's really great, and it's really a testament to everything that you've done, and makes my job really easy this year. I just show up and get to ring the bell, so I appreciate that. The new website, you may have heard rumblings of it. We were reviewing it earlier today in the board meeting. I can tell you that our board members were very happy. I think you will be too. So just stay tuned as pieces of that start to roll out in the weeks ahead. And we need your help. July 15th, Volunteer Packing Day for the American Diabetes Association, their 2020 virtual Tour de Cure. We're looking for volunteers on the 15th between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. You don't need to be there the whole time. It's downtown in the Loop. If you can spare an hour or two, we would much appreciate it. We heard many times in the strategic planning process, people wanted hands-on projects. We're going to give you hands-on projects. So please do show up. You can check the gyrator, or you can check our calendar, and there's an online sign up there. And actually, Karen or Tamara or Shelby, if one of you could perhaps put the link for the sign up into the chat box, that would be much appreciated while I'm talking here. That way people can sign up right now while I'm talking. I don't mind if you ignore me, if you're ignoring me, so you can sign up for volunteer work. We also need your help on July 17th. Our district is organizing a massive produce drive for Englewood. So Rotary One and all clubs in the city of Chicago are soliciting volunteers to show up, really even just for an hour or two. So check our calendar. Again, you can sign up there for July 17th, or check the gyrator, and you can see how to connect with folks at the district to help organize and distribute produce that's highly needed for the residents of Englewood. And as I mentioned last week, sometimes just being present is valuable in and of itself. So please try to show up if you can. July 15th at 12 p.m., there's a major announcement coming, a major reveal from the district. 6450, but also our neighboring district to the north, District 6440, about a homegrown initiative. And yes, I'm going to flatter you yet again, Marshall, because Marshall's really sort of the lead behind this as we identified the need here in our club post-COVID for employment assistance, job skills development, anything that would go with sort of Rotarians helping Rotarians from a networking perspective. So please do tune in to understand what that's all about. This is really big. It's growing as we speak, and I think it's really going to add value to your experience at Rotary. We have always have a lot of accomplishments from our various Rotarians. I want to talk about Nelly Vasquez Roland, president and co-founder of A Safe Haven, member of this club, and she was just recently designated as one of Crane's 2020 Notable Healthcare Heroes. Not to mention the fact that she's been on ABC News and WGN News and some other news sources a lot recently for all that she's done for the homeless population in this city, particularly during COVID-19. But that's also a nice lead-in to the fact that A Safe Haven has organized a virtual run to end homelessness. It is something that you can find once again in the Gyrator or on the Safe Haven website. And more importantly, Rotary One is a bronze sponsor for this event. But if you sign up, you can participate as a runner in this virtual run. I'll be honest, I don't know how that works. I don't know if that means you're virtually running or just actually running, but separately from other people. But you can figure it out if you check the website and check the Gyrator. And speaking of personal accomplishments, like Nelly's accomplishments, please do send those types of things to myself, send them to Cam. We want to hear what's up with you guys. If you have something great going on in your life, if you've just got a new job, got a promotion, maybe you had a baby, there's a wedding, you're in the news, send it our way and we'll feature it in the Gyrator. I'll talk about it in our meetings. But one of the things that we heard from the strategic plan is that people want to know what's going on with our members. We want to promote our members. So let's help promote the members, but we can't promote you guys if you don't tell us what's happening. So don't be afraid to shoot any of us a note. There are a lot of committee meetings coming up. One of the ways you can get engaged with the club and see where the real action happens in the club is to participate in committee meetings. We're putting those meetings on the calendar. You can see the PR marketing committees meetings up there, the International Service Committee meetings, Community Service Committee meetings will be going up there soon as well. Feel free to sign up and join. Anybody can join. In terms of meetings, other meetings, we have our regular Tuesday meetings coming up next week, Tuesday, July 14th, our regular lunchtime meeting. We have Paul Hammond, CEO of the Night Ministry, speaking of organizations that do a lot for the homeless population, feeding them, housing them, and providing medical care around the city of Chicago. It's a very interesting organization. Rotaract has done service projects for them, so tune in to hear about what they're doing these days next week on July 14th. July 21st, if you have any family members, kids, cousins, whatever, who are interested in outer space and the future of space exploration, this is going to be an interesting one. Louis Braxton, former Deputy Center Director for NASA Ames Research Center, will be talking about the future of space exploration. And that will be a partnership with the Chicago Engineers Foundation. So we'll be bringing in some young aspiring engineers into the crowd as well, just to liven things up a bit. And we're coming close to the end of our meeting. And before we get to the end, I want to bring up the four-way test, if you could. And I am once again going to hand the floor over to President Miki of the Rotary Club of Tokyo West to do us the honor of reciting the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do, while the rest of us stay on mute and repeat it at home. President Miki, would you please recite the four-way test?
Thank you, President Eric. Okay, let me do the four-way test. Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Miki. For
Thank
those
you.
For those who wish to learn more about the Cochabamba project in Bolivia and chat with Santiago, please stay on the line. Don't go anywhere. We'll open it up to questions in just a few minutes. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for joining. Meeting adjourned.